This is Orange Nation Overtime with Steve Infanti and Paulie Sibilia.
Welcome into Orange Nation Overtime alongside Paulie Sibilia. I'm Steve Infanti. We missed you yesterday, Paulie. How'd the move go?
Yeah, the show's a lot more handsome today. It's going fine. It's taking way longer than I wanted it to. I want to just be in my house and happy and comfortable.
It's getting there. We did not get your thoughts.
Not a happy home yet.
Not yet. We wanted to get your thoughts on the Florida State win. We did not hear what you thought about the game yesterday.
I didn't think the defense was great, but it did show that the offense can go out and win a game when they need to score toe-to-toe with somebody. Sometimes that happens. And you want that to be against better teams that are also good on defense, but Florida State doesn't tend to play defense. So it was a win, and you got to be happy. And there's some things I'm taking away that I really like about this team that they haven't had in years. I said it the other day on our radio show. They have a center that can come off the bench and give you 10 minutes, and it doesn't hurt you, and might even get a couple block shots for you and a putback. That's great. You got a guy who's just instant offense off the bench, and Tyler Betsy. Love that. And Donnie Freeman is a player Syracuse hasn't had on the court since Jeremy Grant.
It's interesting you should say that. We had that topic on the show yesterday. We talked about with Mario and with Tim, best player that SU has had since when. I went back to Wes Johnson. Jeremy Grant was a great player. I feel like he got better when he went into the NBA. I don't know if he was as dominant as Donnie has been recently. Now, Donnie's got to do it over the course of the rest of the season. I get that. But I kind of went back to Wes Johnson the year that he won the Big East Player of the Year.
Jeremy Grant didn't have to be that. They had C.J. Fair.
That's fair.
So there was Tyler Ennis. That team was loaded. There hasn't been somebody that is athletic and, NBA gifted as him.
Yeah. He is NBA gifted. There's no doubt about that. And that's a great segue because that's how we started our interview with Adrian Autry today. We have him on the show every Thursday at 1 o'clock. And we asked him right off the bat about Donnie's return, what he's liked over the course of the last 3-4 games from his team with Donnie back on the court.
Donnie is a big part of what we do. I think, I think everything that, that we need to get better at, adding him, whether it's spacing, whether it's rebounding, whether it's free throw shooting, he's very good in all those categories. And I think it just really, that's what we were kind of missing for a while, but I was very proud that, the guys, we still found ways to win and get better. And the same token, now adding a guy that can answer a lot of those situations that we were kind of struggling in. And I think it just helps.
Coach, after the game the other night, you did seem as happy as, we would have expected after a win. What was making you upset about that game against Florida State?
Well, I felt like our defensive intensity was not there. Again, Florida State is a very good offensive team, and we knew that we were challenged, but I just thought our defensive intensity, our attention to detail was not there. Happy for the win, but for the result. But the standard that we set out to have, we did not meet that standard last night, regardless of the result. We just didn't meet the standard. And again, I think this team has a ton of potential. I still think we have so much room for improvement, and I'm not going to stop pushing these guys, regardless of the result, to get to that.
We've seen J.J. Starling really pick up his play the last 2 games in particular, 19 against Pittsburgh, 15 against Florida State. He seems to, be a lot more comfortable these last couple of games and doing what he's good at doing, right? Getting to the basket. He was efficient in both those games, 14 for 21 combined from the field, had 7 assists, just 2 turnovers. What has changed these last couple of games with J.J.? And, is there a reason for it? Is it the opponents? Is it, having Donnie back? What has allowed J.J. to kind of pick up his play of late?
Well, I thought JJ played a really good game against Georgia Tech. Statistically, would not say so, but I thought he played the right way. He's been playing really good basketball, and as we all know, it's a game of makes and misses sometimes. But I mean, what we're looking at is him taking the shots that he needs to take, and again, he's been doing that, impacting the ball on the other side, and making plays for teammates. So again, just really rounding out his game. And I've said this time and time again. Everyone says, "Oh, he had a good game," and they base it on points, right? And again, I get that, but JJ is a really all-around basketball player, and I don't think people really appreciate or understand that. And I'm going to keep saying that. You can't judge his importance of our team based on points this year, right? Like, it's going to be games where he will be the high scorer, but it's going to be games where he may be the second lead scorer, but he may lead us in assists or rebounds, steals, leadership, all of those things. And I think he's, again, the Georgia Tech game, even though it statistically didn't look good, I thought he still played a really good game.
Coach, you've been able to knock down some threes the past couple games, and is that due to Donnie being on the floor and the spacing, or are you getting the same shots and they're just falling?
Well, I think, you add another capable three-point shooter with Donnie. And so, again, I think that's another shooter that you have that can, really shoot the basketball at a really high clip. And Tyler Betsy got some really good looks the last couple of games, and he's been really shooting it well. And Nate Kings is still not come around, but he's still capable. And JJ made some shots, and George, which I think we need to get some more shots for George because he's really shooting the ball well. So, again, we got guys that can make shots. It's just a matter of us, continually taking them and getting good ones.
You mentioned Nate Kings there. What are you seeing from him in his shot? It seems like a lot of his shots are going in and then rattling out.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but, you got to keep taking them and making them, and eventually they will fall like anything. I mean, I think Tyler Betsy went through a stretch like that as well. But, that happens. I think you just got to keep shooting them, and we encourage him to keep shooting them. As, we believe in him. His teammates believe in him. So, again, I don't want him to start, passing up ones. We don't need him to pass up any.
Coach, I want to get back to J.J. Stalling for a moment. Fans were concerned with his hand. It seemed like he, jammed a hand or a finger and was kind of shaking his hand during the game. Can you just bring us up to date on his health? Is he okay? Is he good to go for Saturday?
Yeah, I was concerned about his hand as well. He kept shaking it until he got the dunk at the end of the game, and it looked like that problem disappeared. So, now he's fine.
He's fine. Good. This stretch that you guys are on right now, 3 wins, and, listen, it's not against Duke and North Carolina and Louisville, but it's hard to win in conference, and 2 of those were by double figures on the road, and then you come home and you take care of business by 8 over a Florida State team that shot the ball well that night. What has this 3-game winning streak done for the confidence of your team and the confidence of the guys here, moving forward?
I don't think this team lacks confidence. It's really trying to get these guys to stay focused. I think that's a challenge for every coach, and not get ahead of themselves and really lock in game to game. That's a challenge of every coach. So this team does not lack confidence. This is a very close-knit group and a very resilient group. To be able to respond to the ebbs and flows of the game, they've really done a good job. I give them a lot of credit. Even the last game, they got it down to 4, I believe, and we responded, and they've been doing that all year. Now, obviously, we would like to play the perfect 40 minutes. That's not realistic. But I give these guys a lot of credit that the fight that they have, and just trying to prepare these guys for each game, and that's the goal that we try to do is get ready for each game and take it one game at a time.
You said a moment ago there, Coach, a close-knit group, and it does seem, from the outside looking in, like it is a very much a close-knit group. Where does that come from? How hard is that this day and age when you had 2 returning players in JJ and Donnie and everybody else is different and new to the program? Is it player-led? Is it coach-led? Is it how do you guys, I guess, how big of a challenge is that to be a close-knit group when you have so many new players, and where does that come from?
It's a challenge for sure, but I think it starts with JJ and Donnie returning, understanding what we were trying to build. We spent a lot of time on building a real family and close-knit relationship as much as you can. We spent a lot of time on the court and a lot of time off the court getting to know each other, and I think that's been the biggest thing. And these guys, I give a lot of credit to our leaders, JJ and Donnie, but, being able to kind of, live it and push that even in, some tough times. And we haven't had really a lot of tough times this year, but, we've had some tough times individually, and I think they've been there for each other.
When you look at this next opponent, Boston College, it's a team that, obviously is struggling in the conference standings, has yet to win a conference game. But as we all know, everybody's a threat. I think, if I'm not mistaken, didn't they had Louisville down at the half? They are capable. I mean, what do you make of this Boston College team? And I guess what stands out to you when you look at this squad?
Last year I thought they were very good on the perimeter. I think, and I was and the inside as well. But I think they've increased their athleticism and physicality in the front court. Obviously Donald Hand is an all-conference caliber type of guy, so the talent is there. And even though the record doesn't look the way you would think it should, they've been close. They've battled every game. I mean, the Louisville game, I think they didn't lose that game until probably the last 3 or 4 minutes. Georgia Tech on the road. So, again, very good team, very capable, physical team. His teams are always physical. They defend, one of the better defensive number teams in our conference, regardless of their record. So that lets you know, they can stop people. And then on the other end, offensively, they got some good pieces. So this is always going to be a hard game for us.
I don't know how much you had a chance to watch some college basketball last night or ACC basketball. I'm sure you're busy doing other things, but SMU wins on a half-court shot. Stanford comes back late and hits a couple of big threes and knocks off North Carolina. It seems like there is so much parity in the conference right now, and so many teams that are in the mix for an NCAA tournament bid. I just wanted to get your thoughts on the conference as a whole this year, because that's been a narrative right around the country that
absolutely.
The ACC's down the last 3, 4, 5 years. Not this year. ACC's not down this year.
No, it's not down at all. Obviously, all the indications were there. The way we performed in a non-conference. Every, the challenge, the SEC challenge. We responded. So this conference is back and it's loaded. Every game is going to be a dogfight. You say that every year, but this year, not just from a conference standpoint, but from a national standpoint, you look at the rankings, you look at the net rankings, you look at all that, you just see, you can extend you can go from 1 to 50, and you can extend that out to 1 to 75. And we have more than a handful of teams, in those categories that you need. That shows that your conference is healthy, and it's going to be a tough conference, and it's going to be a lot of fun.
That's Adrian Autry. Again, he joins our show every Thursday at 1 o'clock. And, looking ahead to this Boston College game, Paulie, this is really the last game for a while that SU absolutely has to win, in terms of, well, if they lose it, that's a really bad loss. You look at the rest of the way, a lot of quad 1 and quad 2 games the rest of the way. They do play Pittsburgh at home, the final game of the regular season. That could be one of those that they absolutely have to win. It would be considered a bad loss if they dropped it, depending on what Pittsburgh does. And maybe the Notre Dame game on January 31st. Outside of those two, though, there's a whole lot of these teams that are in the middle of the pack or in the upper echelon of the ACC conference.
Yeah, and it's really important from now on. You got to probably hold serve at home. Most of your tough games are on the road, except for UNC. Miami's up there. That could be a quad 1 game. You just got to hold serve at home, and then hope you can pick off 1 or 2 on the road.
Yeah, and after this Boston College game, the next 4, we keep talking about how BC is the end of this 4-game stretch of all these games that they have to win. The next 4 are a whole lot of toss-up games, a whole lot of teams that are in a similar position as Syracuse. Virginia Tech, they're now 2-3 after losing at the buzzer to SMU last night on a half-court shot. Miami's undefeated in conference play, but they've not played anybody. NC State on the road is a game that a lot of people right now. Syracuse is tied with NC State in the standings. A lot of people look at that as that could be an elimination game down the road for the NCAA tournament. Whoever wins that one would have a leg up, and then Notre Dame at home. So 3 of the next 4 after BC are at home. And as you said, if you could take care of business, your resume is going to be in pretty good shape heading into that month of February, which includes a lot of quad 1 opportunities.
Miami plays Clemson and Florida State before they play Syracuse. They beat Clemson. They're probably going to be a quad one game by the time they roll into the game.
That would be a good opportunity for the Orange. We also had the voice of the Orange, Matt Park, on our show today. He joins us every Thursday as well. And we started him off by asking what he's been most encouraged by over the course of this 3-game winning streak for the Orange.
It's not rocket science, but everybody is recognizing Donnie Freeman is a game changer. And that's why a big deal was made of it when he was gone. And now that he's come back, you can see why. And it's not just his contribution. It's what he does to align everybody else at the right spot in the batting order. And everything else is kind of falling into place. Again, it's a bit opponent dependent as well. They had a friendly start to the conference season, which should continue through Saturday. And then let's see.
Yeah, and I guess along those lines, I mean, what is your projection? I mean, we have seen he's been dominant, right? These last 3 games plus the half against Clemson, that second half against Clemson, he was dominant. Do you anticipate he's going to be this good when it's Duke and Carolina and Louisville and Virginia?
That's a mouthful, I think, because of just how many people they can throw at you. With all due respect to Donnie Freeman, some of these other teams have 2 and 3 Donnie Freemans or better. And they'll have to find a way to play through that. Not that he's going to be completely shut out by anybody or any of that, but you have to have what you've seen so far because of his absence is a number of different people who sort of had their moments and had their day. They've 8 different leading scorers over the course of the season. That's going to have to come up again against the better teams in the league. And Donnie's going to have a day where either he gets shut down by the opposition or woke up on the wrong side of the bed or whatever it is where it's not his, and that's where your Nate Kings, or the other night it's Tyler Betsy and J.J. Starling and Kyan Anthony. They've got a lot of different possibilities to come through, and you have to see if they do.
You mentioned everybody's going to have their day, and it was Tyler Betsy's day against Florida State. Are we getting to the point now with Nate Kings where, again, not that he's playing bad, and I know that he does more than just shoot threes. He's a good defender, and he brings more to the table than that. But the fact that he hasn't been great from three-point range, and Tyler Betsy has shown that in spots he's really, really good. Are we getting to the point now where he may start losing a little bit of time to Tyler Betsy?
I could see that for sure. Kings had it stacked against him, I think, right from the jump in terms of the kind of outsider community perception of it, because if he shoots less than 45% from three-point range, he's a bust. Well, geez, I mean, that's everybody in the country. There's only a handful of people that do that anywhere at any level, and so he hasn't followed up with that. Now, he hasn't really been that close, I think, is the concerning part. Now, he's done some other things. I would be tracking how many catch-and-shoot opportunities they get for him. I think your dead-eye shooters, the Chris Bells of the world here in recent vintage, they're made to stand in a place and knock it down when given the opportunity. And Chris Bell had plenty of opportunities on this team, the last couple of years. Nate Kings is not quite in the same spots or the same rhythm to get those types of shots, which doesn't mean it's wrong necessarily. It's just not working the way that if you thought he was going to come in and hit 4 3-pointers a game, it's not working out that way. Betsy, I think, is a contributor too. I think he's got great size. And that whole thing about the allocation of minutes is going to fluctuate over the course of the year, so you may see some adjustments there. Yeah.
The difference also with Chris Bell, and he's on there usually guarding one of their better players.
Yeah.
When he's on the floor, rather than
Well, there's no
Kings
question.
brings other things.
No question, Kings is doing that.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you had more to say.
No,
that was it.
I don't have it. Someone in the
it.
chat wants to know what Matt's shoe size is. I could ask that.
Why would someone waste even the slightest bit of their time or brain power or space in their head concerning themselves with that?
I don't know.
Thanks for bringing that to the table.
11 and a half. Yeah.
The backcourt, we've seen mixed reviews, right? Nate George has some of these games where he's got 13 assists or 11 assists, or and still games where he has too many turnovers, right, and too many careless turnovers. And JJ's been up and down, although JJ's played very well of late. What do you make of the backcourt? And the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Yeah, I guess one of the things that comes top of mind for me is not strictly the turnover count, because it's not like it's egregiously bad. It's not worse than the opponent typically. It's
the
about
kind of turnovers, right?
It's just that there's 2 or 3 or 4 a game that you thought you should have learned in 6th grade that you can't make that pass.
Right.
You can't throw it off the shins of a 7-footer. You can't throw the ball from 2 steps behind the 3-point line and feed the post. At this level, it just doesn't happen. You've got to get a better angle. You got to throw it with more urgency. The receiver of the pass has got to come to the ball. So that type of thing that's happened here or there is really confounding. Now, it does happen a little bit. We don't spend a lot of time on talk radio talking about the time that an opposing player steps out of bounds or whatever. It does happen. So it gives me optimism to think that some of that stuff can be cleaned up. How they had a 2-turnover game against Kansas, now you look back, are you kidding me? But it happened. So this team's capable. I don't think Nate George is I don't think he's a reckless player. I think they get a little happy with the lobs, a little ambitious with that. William Kyle's awesome. But just because it worked out this one time doesn't mean 4 times in a row you need to come down the floor looking for the lob play. And so I think they could rein that in a little bit and see some improvement there.
We just had Coach Autry on the show, and he said he wants to get Nathan George more shots because he's shooting the ball well. Would you be surprised to see him taking up more threes, and would you like to see him take?
Yeah, probably wouldn't be my first pick. It wouldn't. Nothing's really going to surprise me here. I think they have lots of players they like on the offensive end of the floor, and they really do want to space the floor, put pressure on the defense, make the defense crack, find the open man, and get a reasonable shot. I think that's really what they're trying to do, and you're all the better if the more players that you have that are triple threat kind of players, the better off you are. So if George becomes more of a scorer himself, I personally think George is better, turning the corner and at worst getting to the free throw line than I think he's some 3-point marksman, but maybe we'll see him do that.
I just called up the stats here. Kyan's getting, on average, 20 minutes per game, which I think seems about right. I think going into the season, we said, well, he'll probably play about half the game. What is standing in the way from him getting more minutes? Is it the fact that he's behind JJ and Nathan George? I mean, the starting backcourt, that Red is comfortable with those guys, confident in those guys, or is it more so what he's doing on the defensive end that he's got to improve defensively in order to play more?
I think it's both of those. I think just human nature as a coach is you're going to lean on guys that you've been there, done that with. And, J.J. Starling, I think, showed the other day he deserves kind of the benefit of the doubt. And it's not like he's immune to making poor plays or whatever. But I think you'd rather err on the side of benefiting the senior in most cases. And Kyan has plenty more opportunity. There just aren't a lot of freshmen that are going to, what do you want him to play? 35 minutes? He's not doing that, okay? 25? Okay, maybe, but those minutes have to come from somewhere.
So let me jump in for 1 second.
And there are the lapses or the liability, the times where it's just the Ole defense here and there, and Kyan's not the only one, but that gives a reason for him to come out of the game.
So the game in which recently, what was it? Was it the Pitt game where he had 11 points in 11 minutes in the first half, and then we didn't really see him at all in the second half? I guess that's more so what fans are saying. Why wasn't there more Kyan in the
Georgia
second?
Tech, right?
Georgia Tech, right?
Because Starling had the huge.
Right.
You tell me you're taking Starling out when he hadn't missed a shot in the first 30 minutes of the Pittsburgh game. So I don't know. I think there's a lot of hero worship in the Anthony world here,
sure.
And I think people, Kyan's got a star next to his name, and people want to see more of him, and that's fantastic. And I think down the road you will see more of him, but in a given game, maybe it's not going to. You only have 5 guys on the floor, so with every person going in, you got to take
somebody's got to come out. Yep, no doubt about it. All right, let's talk about Boston College, a team that's obviously struggling from a wins-loss perspective, but They had Louisville down at the half. They've played some teams tough, but this is not a good team. It's a team Syracuse should take care of. I mean, what are you envisioning is going to happen on Saturday at Conti Forum?
Yeah, I mean, I think this one's just about the energy that you take into the game. We've seen it before that there's no real reason Syracuse should lose this game. So it helps, I think, that it's not a noon game, it's not a 9 p.m. game, and those sort of built-in excuses or concerns are not there. I think you got to go there, make some shots. The crowd will be on your side. It'll be at least a 50-50 crowd for Syracuse, I would think. It's just been a tough go for BC in terms of building any kind of fan following with that. And I would expect that you'll see a strong showing and a fourth win in a row.
I want to ask you about the ACC as a whole. I don't know how much you had a chance to watch last night, but some exciting finishes. That namely the SMU half-court shot to beat Virginia Tech. Stanford came back, beat North Carolina late with a couple of big shots down the stretch. You look at the conference standings right now. It seems like there's a lot of these teams that are in SU's position, which they have a resume that they could play their way into the NCAA tournament, or it could go the other way. I mean, I don't know, what would you put the number at? Like 10 to 12 teams that could, they're not going to take 12 teams from the ACC, but 10 to 12 teams that could play their way into a tournament bid.
Yeah, it's the middle of the pack, and that's why they play the games, and there's so many of them left. I mean, we still have 3/4 of the conference season to go. I was texting Tim last night as I'm standing there next to the TV waiting for the final seconds of the Stanford-Cal game. This is kind of a year where I don't think you're crying about Stanford not being on the schedule. Of course, I think they're a team that's very different home and road.
Yes.
And if Syracuse had played them, it would have been a home, I'm sure. But they look pretty decent, and I think they're beating Carolina. They're beating Louisville. Shows that those teams, can be beaten on a given day. I don't think we feel real strongly about an upset of Duke, and certainly Syracuse has to play them on the road, so you're not holding your breath on that one. You got to get the others. So this Virginia Tech game at home next Wednesday night is big. Those are all those swing games. Virginia Tech, Miami, SMU. I wouldn't even count Notre Dame in that category, but that upper middle of the pack, the NC State on the road, would be a great one to pick off. How you perform in those games is going to determine where you fall in the standings.
Now you bring up Virginia Tech. Man, they have played nothing but very close games.
And they've won 3 buzzer-beating losses in the conference.
Right, yeah. Wake, Stanford, and SMU all essentially in the final 5-10 seconds, including the half-court shot last night. They beat Virginia in that. I think that was wasn't that the triple overtime? I mean, they've played some really good games, really close games this year, and they're 2-3 in conference. It could be 5-0. What were you going to say, Paul?
I was just going to say Miami's sitting at 32 in the net. They
haven't played anybody, though, in conference, right?
They got Clemson and Florida State before they come to Syracuse. That could be a quad 1 game easily by the time they get here. So, these next two, you get through BC, the next 2 games are huge.
Yeah. Miami's beaten Pitt, Wake, Georgia Tech, and Notre Dame. So they still have to prove themselves.
Pitt smoked Georgia Tech last night on the road. And, the Lithuanian kid from the Intercitus that transferred from Iowa State, he's American, but Lithuanian, I guess, background. Hardly played and looked completely overmatched in the Syracuse game on the weekend on Saturday, and he goes out and is a leading scorer for Pitt last night. So that's sports.
Again, Sports of the Orange, Matt Park. 2:00 tip Saturday at the Conti Forum between Syracuse and Boston College. The Orange with a chance to move to 4-1. They haven't had a 5-game winning streak in conference in 6 years. So you assume they're going to take care of BC. If they can get the job done against BC and Virginia Tech, they'd have their first 5-game winning streak in conference in some 6 years.
Yeah, and winning 3 straight on the road's probably been a long time also. I mean, it's broken favorably with the scheduling, but yeah, you got to beat BC. It's not a must win, it's a must not lose.
Yeah, right.
As we like to say. Hey, Steve, what do Ed McMahon, Leonard Nimoy, Chris O'Donnell, and Rikishi have in common? You know who Rikishi is?
I don't.
He's a wrestler, is the kid's.
Okay, that is a random group of people. I have no idea.
They all graduated from Boston College.
Is that right?
Yeah. How's that for a nugget?
Interesting. That would make sense that's why it's a random group.
Yes. So they did, and a lot of wrestlers went there. Kofi Kingston, also a wrestler.
Like wrestled at Boston College and then.
No, I don't know if they're WWE wrestlers.
Right. No, I know. I didn't know if that was.
I don't think Rikishi was an
athlete.
Yeah, I wouldn't say he was wrestling like Kurt Angle. No.
All right. Thank you for that nugget of knowledge.
Google what his finishing move was, and you'll hate your life for the rest of your days.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Is it safe for work?
Probably not. It's called the stink face.
Oh, okay. All right.
Okay.
You had to bring that to the table. All right.
That's what I do.
I know.
You know what people, you know how they say, what do you bring to the table? I say the stink face.
Yes. Okay, we got to go. For Paulie, I'm Steve. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll talk to you again tomorrow.
Download the WSYR Plus app on your TV to stream News Channel 9 for free. Just go to your smart TV, search WSYR Plus in the App Store, and download to start streaming today.